Mary, I just wanted to get you to kick things off in terms of any of these three questions. Are you concerned about any of the SLOs required for these classes, being able to address them?
I am concerned about the life skills part. For a couple of reasons, a couple of which are kind of personal, but I'll share. And the first one is, and this was brought up during the group talk, is we're not trained to facilitate conversations about life skills. I think a lot of us have been experiencing some of the same symptoms that the incoming students have been experiencing. And speaking as someone who has been psychoanalyzed by non-professionals in the past, that can be extremely harmful if you don't know what you're doing. So I worry about giving mental health advice without having any training in that area. And, you know, it's impossible to know all of the students' lived experiences. So I worry about doing more harm than good in that area.
I don't know, and I hope that the rest of you will certainly share what you think. Other than telling a student, I can see you're struggling, here's a resource to the health center, or do you need to talk for a while? I'm not certainly expecting instructors in any of these courses to psychoanalyze or to offer to offer mental health treatment, but we're all, I guess my perception of the life skills piece is that we are adults who have been through a similar process, and being able to tell them, here are the things that helped me when I first left home. That's in my wheelhouse. I feel like I can say those things.
Mm-hmm.
Amy, do you have any good ideas?
I was going to say, I mean, I was along the same mindset that I'm not scheduled to teach a course and I would love to. So I'm here kind of to get some ideas, but I was in the same mind frame that I wouldn't be necessarily the one providing advice per se, more just showing them where they can go when they do have these problems. And some of the life skills, you know, certainly mental health is an important one, that the one that you referred to, but there's other stuff just like daily life scheduling and time management. And these are the skills I see my students struggling in as well. And even what Elizabeth was saying, organizing your emails and just common stuff like that also falls under that life skills category. And I think we've all been there, and we can at least give them tips or provide them the right direction to go in if they do have problems we don't feel qualified to help them with.
Well, I guess the piece of advice that I was referring to was the bringing it to them instead of telling them where to go. And does anybody have any idea what that would look like?
I did. 20 minutes ago, I was like, oh yeah, I can do that. And and now I'm like, I really have no idea. You know what has helped me enormously is having my own kids going through this. That has helped me to look at the students as if they are my own kids, and to see, oh, I know that my son was really struggling with accessing an online course, and it gave me sympathy with when my students said, I just couldn't get on, I couldn't figure it out. And that's been such a complete change of mindset for me, from, of course you can figure it out, it's a computer, don't be stupid, to being, it's understandable, everybody's under so much stress. And so I guess what I took from it was the willingness to explain what seems to us to be extremely obvious, instead of saying, go figure out how to do something, to just take the time to give them the steps. So you go here, you click this, you do that. And Ken, I wish I had an answer to that question in the chat. And I think that's going to be a good question to ask the admissions people, and kind of as we're developing this program to making sure that everybody's kind of on the same track.
Yeah, I mean, because I'm thinking like to develop life skills and orientation with each other, you kind of have to build off of what they do in the summer orientation program. And I'm thinking like, okay, cool. If they're on campus, go to Hawkins Pond or go to a local pond and just kind of like analyze the pond or do something with it, get them out of their chairs and into the communities that they're in, whether they're Plattsburgh or other communities, and to explore things. But it'd be interesting to hear more about what they do in orientations and stuff, so that they can kind of we can get ideas and feedback from them to kind of put forward in our classes. Because I mean, we can think about classes, class structure and communicating with each other, but I'm thinking of like, I need like fun, pithy activities to kind of get them engaged and learning together, and almost like problems that are collaborative in nature but don't really have a high level of orientation into the topic. Just give them a problem, have them work through it, solve it together, and not to be very icebreakery, but kind of like something like that, where they get to like work through activities for a cause. So but that's what I think, like what we need to do to know more about what they do in the summer orientations, and then build off that with them. I think that'd be kind of cool.
Let's
Also,
oh, go ahead, Laura Jean.
hey, Wendy, I just, from something to riff off what you said, is to take the time to, help the students navigate. I took a quarter of a class the other day to show the students how to organize their emails with labels and folders. And there were like light bulb moments from several students who was like, oh, because they're just slogged as we are with emails. So something as simple as that, or just sharing, having a technology sharing, what you learned, how can we help each other, kind of thing. Yeah.
Good example. Thank you. I want to, since we're more past the time that I said we would be in the breakout rooms, I want to give Sarah a chance to ask a question or share something. And then I want Ken to take his question back to the big group and see if we can ask Carrie and Elizabeth those questions. No, I'll ask the question. Sarah, please.
I don't really have a question, but I do want to say how much I agree with Mary about our responsibility can't be as therapists, but we need to stay in our professional expertise or doing grave harm. And I think the advice I was just nervous about the advice to talk about positive emotions. Like, I think I'm positive. I want to be a positive source for my students, but they don't want me to tell them to be positive. And they've also been told for their entire lives, their adolescence, hey, just do your best, or like, be positive, put on a good face. And they're sick of us doing that kind of stuff. I think we can be a positive force for them by being supportive, by teaching our expertise, and by teaching what other folks have talked about, those very specific life skills that we take for granted, like organizing your emails, how to contact a professor, that when you have trouble,
right?
How to find out their office hours. If you are hungry, where do you find the campus food pantry? Like, I think that there are things about that we can do to help students navigate college and the campus, but I really am very wary of trying to teach positivity.
Yeah, it's not grade school. And I know that's, in fourth grade, it was like everybody's teaching about grit. And I think you're absolutely right. We have a different role. And I also finding the right boundaries between our role and a parent's role and a cousin's role, and I've gotten to a point where I feel okay taking on a more motherly approach to my students because I'm a long way away from them in age now. And I really have the experience of having been a mother, and I know how to do that. And yet I think depending on where you are in your career, it might be like, no, this is totally the wrong time to get close to my students. And so I appreciate that tension of not wanting to get too much into the touchy-feely support, I'm here as part of your support team. You're there as their professor as well. And I don't have a good answer, but an acknowledgement that it is kind of a tricky path to walk.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of the stuff you end up, I teaching creative writing or teaching any kind of writing, you end up knowing a lot and it gets very personal.
Yeah.
But I focus on the writing, it's not my job to delve into the personal issues. So yeah, I mean, I think we have to be careful.
Okay.
Yeah. And their teaching is already so, and student perception of our instruction is already so gendered, and the idea.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I totally respect that. And it's just, we're all trying to do our best by our students and by our careers.
Yeah.
So it is tricky. I need to stop this room and stop the other rooms because I don't want to take up too much people's afternoons, but this has been a really good conversation. Thank you very much.